My name is Aaron Ladd, host of the Chiefs Squad Show here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And while the Chiefs are idle, the Squad Show doesn't wait. We break down which players' stocks are up and which ones are down ahead in the show.
And I'm JC Pearson, and we're going to talk about the AFC West. And when it's all said and done, I still say the Chiefs are going to win it.
And I'm Darren Smith. Has Patrick Mahomes actually dropped out of the MVP race, or does he still have a shot at his third MVP? We'll talk about that and more.
Chiefs Kingdom, stand up. It's the Chiefs Squad. Everything Kansas City Chiefs every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from Arrowhead Stadium, the way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Squad up. The Chiefs Squad Show starts now.
All right, thanks for joining us on another episode of the Chiefs Squad Show. Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, and Darren Smith working during the idle week for the reigning AFC champs. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. There's been some change and shaking, moving and shaking in the AFC West. We will look at the standings and how Kansas City can try and claim another division title. Whose stock is up, whose stock is down. We will put on our market caps and look at some position groups and players for Kansas City. Then we'll go to Darren's favorite segment. We're going to Vegas. We're not spending any of our own money. We're spending all of Darren Smith's money and telling you some Vegas insights on what they think about the Chiefs.
That play money over here.
Who currently sit at 5-4. We appreciate you everydayers for rocking with us. We've been at different days, different times. We're moving around. The only thing consistent is us and you all, so we appreciate that. We like to make y'all part of the show. So any feedback at all you could take, we will read them at the end of the show. Let's go first to the AFC West. This is JC Pearson's bread and butter. There was some moving and shaking last night. Did y'all watch Thursday Night Football and maybe some immediate takeaways from the Broncos? JC, you start us off.
It was boring, wasn't it? I mean, man, and that's why I say when it's all said and done, I think the Chiefs are still going to end up winning the division. I mean, Denver's got a lot of talent defensively. You know, they get after the quarterback, but I think with Surtain, I know he's going to miss at least the first game against the Chiefs. I think we're going to be able to handle them. Now, obviously, we always have issues in Denver, but you know, the Raiders went in there and played some inspired ball just to hang in there, or Denver played down to the competition. So we'll see how that goes. But, you know, all in all, I think it was a boring game, of course. But when the Chiefs get there next week, things are gonna liven up for sure.
You know, I'm with JC as it relates to the Chiefs still winning this division. However, I do notice a lot of times the Chiefs do make games difficult for themselves. And, you know, next week in Denver probably won't be any different. Even without Patrick Surtain, you know, the way those defensive linemen and those linebackers played last night, they're going to be putting the rush on the Chiefs offensive line. So they need to make sure that they can protect. Patrick better make sure he's ready to run this time as opposed to against the Buffalo Bills. And to be quite honest, a lot of people talk about that was a bad game. I don't know if people actually paid attention to the Broncos Jets when they were playing over in London on NFL Network, where that was like a 13-11 type of ball game that was just horrible to watch. And again, they got after and you know, they got after the quarterback out there and Justin Fields like 8-9 times. So again, they're going to be coming to play, and hopefully the Chiefs throughout this bye week and this week coming up in preparation of the Broncos, hopefully they'll get that line in shape, whipped up in shape, and get Josh Simmons back up to speed.
The Broncos are currently 8-2 overall. They sit atop the AFC West as of this taping. They are 1-1 inside the division. The Los Angeles Chargers are 6-3. They're a perfect 3-0 inside the AFC West. And there's the Kansas City Chiefs, which we will spend so much time talking about. 5-4, 1-1 inside the division. The Las Vegas Raiders somehow 2-7 on the year. It feels like they should be worse. When I make my analysis 9 times out of 10, it's based on coach and quarterback. That determines a lot of your success in the National Football League. Do you have the coach right, and do you have the quarterback, and are they communicating consistently? To me, there's no team above Kansas City in the division right now that has a better mend of their coach and quarterback than they do. Obviously, Bo Nix has had bright spots, has shown bright spots. Sean Payton is supposed to be an offensive guru. Never been somebody that I see eye to eye with. But I think Bo Nix has shown inconsistencies. I was watching this game at a bowling alley last night. Somebody had some prize picks on the line, and they were waiting for Bo Nix to get to 250. It never hit. I can count on Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes to be consistent in what they put out on the tape 9 times out of 10, more often than not. Denver, I don't know. I'm kind of siding with y'all. Obviously, the standings aren't in their favor right now, but for Kansas City, I think the Johnnies and the Joes can overcome some of the X's and O's stuff that we've seen early in the year. I wonder what y'all think about that.
Yeah, and if you're talking about coach and quarterback, Harbaugh, he's got a track record. He wins everywhere he's been, and he's got a good quarterback out there too. I'm not sure if they've got enough to really compete overall. Obviously they beat the Chiefs week 1, but and they're, like you said, right now they're undefeated in the conference, or in the division rather. But I think when it's all said and done, they probably will be at number 2 in the division. I think they've got some talent. I'm a Harbaugh believer just because I've seen the track record everywhere he's gone, from the University of San Diego when he won and had a quarterback there, Josh Johnson, had a long NFL record, and nobody even knew who this kid was, to Stanford, to on and on. So he's got a track record with obviously at Michigan with quarterbacks, and he's got a good one, probably the best one that he's had out there now. So I think they're going to end up being pretty good.
I still think Andrew Luck was better than Justin Herbert, but that's just my opinion on that. But to your point though, one of the things that Jim Harbaugh is committed to is the run game. And that's something that we've seen a little bit lately coming out of Buffalo's game that the Chiefs have had having some issues with. But like JC said,
running the ball. What do you mean, Chiefs? Huh? I just wanted to get Aaron going. How he feels about the running game.
Yeah, and so when you look at what Harbaugh does, his commitment to the run, again, they feel like when they go into a game, like they feel like they know a certain aspect of the game that they feel like they have to be comfortable with committing to. A lot of times it is running the football because you want to keep the other team's offense on the sideline. The other times, you feel like you have a better air game and allow Justin Herbert to throw the ball down the field. I do think as the weather changes, you get one of those type of dome teams, especially California team, you get them out in the cold weather. I think the games that they've beat, that they beat the Chiefs in, of course, was in Brazil to start the season off. You beat the Broncos in Los Angeles, and of course, Las Vegas, you beat them, in the dome. Of course, you're going to play them in the dome, but when you go to Denver and when you go to Kansas City, the weather is not going to be in your favor. So I think that will kind of work against them, for a team that, that is so, they don't really like to play in the cold weather, and so they'll have to be committed to run the football.
Man, what you trying to say about California people, man?
They're soft.
What you talking about, man? I'm from California, man. What you talking about?
Hold on. But JC, you've adjusted to the Midwest. Hey, they haven't.
Darren, no, I haven't. The cold, I hate the cold. Trust me. But when you talk about a pro football team, a lot of those guys grew up in cold weather. They played college in cold weather, that kind of stuff. So I don't know if it really affects them now. Cold is Buffalo, Green Bay, that kind of stuff. Cold is cold, but in Kansas City, we've been. You look outside today. November, whatever it is, and it's almost 70 degrees and sunshine. So we've been having some mild winters, really. Now you don't know what you're going to get in Denver, but to just come in one day, those guys, it won't affect them as much because they have guys that have grown up in cold weather. Now guys like myself who grew up in California, it will affect them because it definitely affected me.
Well, I put it like this. I remember that playoff game when Miami was here for just one day in the freezing weather.
Yeah.
And look, and Tyreek played it here in Kansas City, and they were on their sidelines freezing their butts off.
Hey, trust me. And everybody was on both sidelines and the stands because that day was freezing.
Yeah,
So
but
everybody was cold that day.
but when you're winning, it don't feel as cold.
Yeah, okay.
How about a little news inside the AFC West? Let's talk about those lowly Raiders. They fired their special teams coordinator on this Friday. As of this taping, Tom McMahon. Here's some stats. I don't know if the special teams coordinator is directly impacting these, but the kicker and the punter struggling this year. Kicker 12 of 16. This is Daniel Carlson, 1 of 12 on extra points. He missed a kick in the fourth that would have tied it on Thursday Night Football. Cole, the punter, down 3 yards from average on his punts from 2024. Overall, here's what I think we're talking about in the AFC West. Is this a division that gets 3 teams in the postseason? Kansas City currently on the 8 line. Denver is slotted at 1, and the Chargers slotted at 6. I think most people would think that Baltimore is going to make a late push. Lamar Jackson back in the lineup. They're going to figure to make a push here. Jacksonville is where you hurt with the tiebreaker, and obviously Kansas City fans want that one back when it's all said and done at the end of the year. But does Pittsburgh remain at the 4 seed, and does Indy remain at the 2 seed, and how does that relate to the AFC West? I want to hear what y'all say on this before I make my pick. Right now, it looks like this division has the strongest case inside the conference to be able to push 3 teams in, which is almost unheard of.
JC, I'll go and let you take that first.
Yeah, I think they definitely can get 3 teams in. Pittsburgh and Indy probably is going to get in. One of those guys is going to win that division. Obviously, the other one will probably get in, and then you're looking at, it's going to be tight. New England, Buffalo, so it's going to get tight. But yes, I think when it's all said and done, I think the AFC West will probably get 3 teams in.
I'm going to lean on the no side, and I say that only because when you look at New England along with Buffalo, they're just a couple of games behind each other. You look at the schedule on how these teams are playing, or the rest of the season out. Buffalo has a pretty easy schedule. I think in the AFC West, I just think that those teams, because we know the Chiefs essentially have to win out. And with the Broncos, at least with a 2-game lead over Kansas City, they have a little wiggle room. And of course, with the head-to-head matchup with the Chargers, I think to be quite honest, I think the Chargers actually might be the team that gets left out, just because I don't think they're going to be able to sustain what they're able to do when the weather turns cold and they have to go on the road on the I know what you say about California guys, but JC, come on now, we just history. If they're not already in a division lead to where they have games that they can kind of afford to lose, I just don't see it happening.
Well, they've beaten everyone in the division already, right?
Yeah, but JC, but they've beaten them either at home or in Brazil in the first of the season. But they should have to go to Denver. They should have to come to Kansas City in December. The weather's not going to be in their favor. Right,
but they still play Las Vegas once more. You
in a dome.
You think, so you think you can count that as a win. Yeah. So even if they lose to Denver and they lose to Kansas City, that's 2 division losses. With what they do outside of that is going to depend. It's going to be a factor. It's going to be tough. But Kansas City is the one that has to win. Yeah. Their margin for error is so slim now that there really might not be any more margin for error. So, they've got to come back ready to go. They've got a couple tough ones right off the jump, and, they've got to win those, or, they may already can pack it in. But those are the games they usually stand up for and play well, especially coming off of a bye. That's another favor, thing in favor for them. So, I think that they'll be able to do that.
Here's the last 4 for Kansas City, because I'm going to just go ahead and say the elephant in the room. I think they're possibly the 3rd team of the 3 AFC West teams. If we're talking about 3 teams getting in, Final four for Kansas City at home against the Chargers, at the Titans, at home against the Broncos, on the road against the Raiders. You got to finish that stretch 4-0 in a pivotal push for the playoffs for Kansas City, which looking more and more like a wild card team, kind of sitting at 5-4 entering the bye week. We're having some fun doing some bye week banter here with you on the Locked On Chiefs Squad show. When we come back, we'll go to the stock market. Go ahead.
Quick question. So who do you think is going to be the odd team out? If you think you get 3 from the AFC and the Chiefs are number 8, who do you think is the odd team out that's above Kansas City?
I think Baltimore finds their way in.
Okay, so you said okay, but even at that, Kansas City is still number 8. So you still got the other 2 teams. I mean, so we're looking at what?
No, I'm saying if things don't shake out their way, they're the third team. They're the third team that needs everything to go right in that Final Four to be able to push their way in.
Okay.
You don't agree with me, Darren? We can talk about it on the other side.
Okay,
we got time.
Let's do that.
Let's talk about it on the other side. Darren Smith is already beefing with me. We're here on a bye week. We have
No, he's
in a better mood today. He's in a better mood today, Aaron.
I'm just asking the question. Who you think will be the odd team out? The Chiefs in the race. Nobody has to lose.
We'll be right back. Hold up. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it's time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contacts. The setup is super easy. You keep your number, and then you're running within minutes. Ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. That's mintmobile.com/lockedonnfl. Upfront payment of $45 is required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for the first 3 months only. Slow speeds above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees are extra. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, second segment here on a bye week Chief Squad show. Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, and Darren Smith. We're about to do some stock stuff, but we'll finish up that last conversation. Darren, you don't think that – I know you don't see a world in which the Chiefs miss the playoffs, but as you said, I'm taking the words that you said right out of your mouth. They already lost too many games. They lose 2 or 3 more is cooked.
No, I get that. And my question to you is that if you think that they get 3 teams in the AFC West, that essentially means that you think either – New England or Buffalo's not making the playoffs. So I'm saying
the Chiefs are the Chiefs are the one that is the third team of the 3 teams that we're talking about possibly getting in. To me, the Broncos and the Chargers are in unless they catastrophically it combusts down the stretch. Kansas City is the one that needs to play their best game down the stretch, especially in that critical last 4, in order to be the last of the 3 teams. That was my whole thing.
Oh, okay. So you're not understanding the premise of the question.
Okay.
The question, because you were saying,
name the teams, name the 8 teams in order right now.
Yes, Denver, Indianapolis, New England, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Los Angeles Chargers, and Jacksonville. So out of those teams that are above us, you can't, it doesn't matter what their records are. If they're the division winners, they're in the playoffs. So right now,
correct.
So right now you got the Colts, you got the Steelers, and you've got the Jaguars that are in the Broncos. So those are the 4 leaders right now. And then you have the Patriots, you have the Bills, you have the Chargers, and then the Chiefs on the outside. So which one of those 3 teams between the Patriots, the Bills, and the Chargers would have to be the odd team out? Now, if you're saying that you get 3 in, then the Chargers are in. So it's between the Patriots and the Bills right now. I'm sorry.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville is going to hang on to win.
Yeah, I keep saying Jacksonville. Yeah, Jacksonville's out. So okay.
Yeah.
So that's fine. There we go.
Let's play a little stock up, stock down. We didn't pre-pro this, so this is going to be some authentic reactions from the guys. I'm going to give one name And the response is very simple. Stock up for them, stock down for them, and why. Some of them are specific players. Some of them are position groups. We'll start with some layups, get the juices flowing. This is some warm-ups in the early rounds. I want to hear what y'all commenters think about these names as well. So feel free to chime in. We'll try and throw those up. First one is going to be Travis Kelce, 41 catches on 53 targets for 540 yards and 3 touchdowns. Do we think his stock up or stock down for the second half, and then why? Darren Smith, lead us off on this one.
I think his stock is still up. I think somehow, some way, Patrick, well, at the end of the day, he's going to always rely on Old Faithful. Depending on how teams defend Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, you can pretty much count on Travis Kelce. He'll be there. So I think his stock is up right now.
Yeah, I say stock up. Definitely. He's halfway to 1,000 yards already. He's got a lot of games left. Teams can't play him like they used to play him, where they doubled him all the time. Now there are too many other guys around. Obviously you talked about Rashee, Xavier, Hollywood, Juju, all these guys, Thornton. Now you can't focus and double Travis all the time. So now you got to pick your poison. And I'll take Travis getting open on a linebacker or safety one-on-one more often than not.
I'm going to say stock up, but it has nothing to do with the numbers here that we named.
You talking about his girlfriend? Oh.
Well, that's definitely
I like beef over there. I like some beef.
Yeah.
No, this has everything to do with how he looks. Travis Kelce in Super Bowl 59 looked like a guy who was done. Looked like there was nothing left in the tank. He also looked mentally worn. He looked mentally checked out. He looked like a guy who really did not want to be there. And for a leader of this team, a franchise cornerstone, it was not setting a good example. Obviously, that game was worst case scenario. To me, outside of what the numbers bring this year, he looks like a guy that's invested. He looks like a guy that understands that everybody around him is looking at how he wants to or how he responds. He's had a couple plays that haven't gone his way. We know the ball's hitting his hand and intercepted. It hasn't been pretty at all points in times. He's kind of ridden the wave. He took a shot to the ribs in this last game, still came back. For me, I'm looking for Travis Kelce, which could possibly be his last end of the regular season in the playoffs. I think most likely it is his last stretch. It's all about the body language for me. That's why I say he's stock up, because he looks like a guy who's wanting to lead the charge for this team and wanting to lead them down the back half. We don't have to finish anything else on that. We're all stock up on Travis Kelce. How about this one? I think I know where everybody's going on this one. Chiefs running backs. This is not named Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs running backs, 228 carries for 710 yards, about 3 yards per carry and 6 total touchdowns. That's Kareem Hunt accounting for 5 of those 6 touchdowns, with Isaiah Pacheco with just 1 of those touchdowns. JC, is the stock up or stock down on Chiefs running backs?
As a group, I still say stock up because when you look at all of them in totality, they all have talent. They definitely have talent, can run, can catch. They all have different things. Obviously Brashard Smith factors into that as well. So they can do a lot of things. They just have to have the opportunities, the consistent opportunities. And I think, if they got that, especially Kareem, I think he can be very productive and make defenses have to account for him. Brashard Smith, hopefully he's going to have a little bigger role the second half. Hopefully they're a little more comfortable with him, especially in pass protection. And, they're able to see his talents a little bit more touches. But I say stock up for the group as a whole.
I'm also going to stock up. I think as the weather gets worse, and of course, depending on the teams that you're playing, because I don't have the schedule pulled up in front of me, I think that they'll be relied on a little bit more, as the season progresses, especially, when you go, because let's put it like this, when they play in week 18 against the Raiders, will that game mean anything to the Chiefs as it relates to the playoff or seeding or something like that? I mean, we don't know, but let's presume that it does. Obviously, I think they're going to go all out. But you look at the Christmas game against the Broncos that they'll have here. It's pretty sure it's going to be snow on the ground. Now, Patrick enjoys playing in snow games and stuff like that. But I really think that Andy and Nagy are going to rely on the running game a lot more in the second half, more than what they have so far this season, just based off of, either criticism or just when they go back and look at the game tape and see where they could have done things better. And to be quite honest, if anything, this Buffalo game should burn something in their heads, because again, Josh Allen, really just Josh Allen, the two tight ends in the run game of James Cook beat them. And just really beat them in every facet of the game. And so I think that if they're smart enough, as we know that they are, they'll take something from that and utilize it the second half of the season.
Yeah, and I know you talked about, just the running back group in terms of the running game. But for some reason, I think you got to factor in some of these wide receivers, because for some reason we love to give the ball to the wide receivers in the backfield, whether it's jet sweeps, whether it's wildcat, whatever the case may be. So you got to factor them into the run game, obviously getting 1, 2, or 3 touches a game. And, they've been successful so far.
Absolutely not, JC Pearson. We're not doing that.
Okay. We're just talking straight running backs. So not running game, running backs.
We're talking running backs. The stock is on the ground for Kansas City's running back, and the proof is in the pudding of our last episode. They tried to acquire another guy to bring him in. They tried to bring in outside competition to generate something out of this dying unit. The stock is down for Kansas City's running backs. Isaiah Pacheco can't stay healthy. Kareem Hunt is essentially a one-trick pony. And Andy Reid has already said that he doesn't believe that Brashard Smith has the weight in the backside to be able to handle the ball on all 3 downs. The stock is down for this unit. And I think really a big reason why they do not call the run is because they do not believe in one guy. It's the same thing they said time and time again. If you have 3 quarterbacks, you don't have one. If you have 3 running backs, you don't have one. The stock is down for Kansas City's running game.
Man, Debbie Downer. Oh, look at it.
Somebody got to call it like it is.
We got a new Grinch in town.
Exactly. Hold on, man. Hold on. Where did you get all this aggression from all of a sudden?
What's he mad at us for, dude?
I'm not going to sit here and let y'all say stock up on a unit that's averaging 3 yards per carry. And we can continue to talk about it as we will time and time again. But let's go to our next topic here on stock up, stock down. He's the banner. He's the thumbnail for this episode. Tyquan Thornton, who was a figure before Rashee Rice came into the equation, hasn't seen the same production for the season. 28 targets, 14 catches, 311 total yards with 3 scores. But I'm wondering what his role is in the offense now, because it seems like there's not enough ball to go around. What do you make of that, JC? Tyquan Thornton, stock up, stock down?
I think him as an individual and talent, his stock is up, but I say stock down for the second half because I don't think there's enough balls around, and he's gonna be the fill-in guy. He's gonna be the substitute guy, or if a guy gets hurt or something, I think that they should find a way to get him on the field more. I think he's one of the top 3 receivers on this team. I think he, in terms of productivity, I think they should get him more. So I say stock up for him individually, talent wise, because, people didn't really know who he was coming into this year, and he really made a name for himself. But I just don't think that he's going to get a lot of targets in the second half. So stock down in terms of that.
I just giggle because, of course, what you all are saying is what I've been preaching the last few weeks as Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice were returning. I said that the man's targets and production was going to go down, and that it has. So, Aaron, I appreciate you parroting what I've been saying the last 3 weeks.
Call a man a parrot.
So is it stock up or stock? Is it stock up or stock down, Darren?
I'm just saying. I feel like we've had this, but to be quite honest, I hate to say it, but I actually got to agree with JC. I mean, it would almost be parroting what he said, but I've already said the stuff before.
Why do you hate why do you hate to agree with me, bro?
Because again, you parroted a lot of stuff I've already said about my Tyquan. Yeah. But to be honest, I think the reason why I would say his stock personally will still go up is because I just feel like somewhere along the way, as we get closer towards the end of the season, one of the starting wide receivers is going to get banged up, nicked up. Could be Hollywood, could be Juju, and that will allow Tyquan to kind of get back up and get more reps and get more production action. Because look, like JC, there's there's just not enough. Again, that was my biggest thing about bringing Breece Hall in. To me, I don't even if he's there, you wouldn't commit to run the football with him. I think you would try to use him in the pass game more. But again, what's stopping you from using Brashard Smith or some of the other players? And Aaron, when you mentioned about Brashard Smith and injuries feeling like he's light, I mean, you all drafted him, so it's like, I mean, you knew that when you were scouting and drafting him.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I do think his stock is still up, and his outlook on the team, they had a chance to probably get a draft pick for him if they were willing to trade for him. And so to me, I still feel like he has a lot of value and a lot of usage left on this team. So I'm gonna go stock up.
Chiefs fans will know this: Super Bowl 58. Some unlikely heroes caught touchdowns in that game. Marquez Valdez-Scantling and McCole Hardman, the 2 touchdown scorers in that win. So maybe it's not the most likely heroes when you think of getting you to a championship and claiming a Lombardi trophy. Maybe Tyquan Thornton is the next name to join that list. I got a couple more names in my stock up, stock down, but we'll save those for the end of the episode. We got to hit a break here. When we come back, we'll head to Vegas. Darren Smith is going to bankroll all of us as we look at how Vegas thinks about the Super Bowl champion odds for the Chiefs. We'll be right back here on the Chiefs Squad Show on the Locked On Podcast Network. This episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. You and I make decisions every day, but on PrizePicks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this sports season. Whether you're following the NFL, NBA, or both, there's no better time to jump in on the action. If you haven't tried it yet, PrizePicks is the simplest way to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get them correct, you win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup, and you can play anywhere PrizePicks operates, including California, Texas, and Georgia. The new Stacks feature is a game changer. You can now pick more on Steph's points, threes, and assists in the same lineup. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. All right, back in on the Chiefs Squad Show on the Locked On Podcast Network. Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, and Darren Smith idling during the bye week, or we're working during the bye week. We're not idle here.
Right. We don't. What's the off week for us?
Vegas never takes any time off, and they have updated their odds. I don't have a lot here, Darren. This is usually your territory. I'm going to stick with the DraftKings odds on this. Currently, Buffalo, the favorite in Vegas in most of the books. DraftKings has them at plus 600. Kansas City at plus 600 as well. So maybe they're tied. I don't know how they calculate these things. MVP odds, Patrick Mahomes is second behind Josh Allen, which we figured would happen last week. Josh Allen plus 160 and Patrick Mahomes plus 350. What is Vegas trying to tell us about these 5-4 Chiefs, Darren Smith? That
at the end of the day, everything is still going to have to go through Kansas City. Like, if you're at least on the AFC side, if you're going to try to get to the Super Bowl, you better kick the Chiefs now while they're down. You better figure out a way to step on their necks. Right now, they're on the outside looking in. It's up to everybody else. And look, and I don't know if teams want to collude with one another against the Chiefs, try to figure out a way to share game plans to beat Kansas City. But essentially, that's what they need to do, Aaron. They've got to figure out a way to beat Kansas City in the regular season so they don't get a chance, because in the playoffs, the Chiefs have proven that they can not only win at home, but win on the road. And a lot of people thought that Patrick could never win as long as they had home field advantage. Oh, well, the only way that they can win, you can beat Kansas City is they're on the road. Well, they went on the road and beat Buffalo and Baltimore to get to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. So really, you just have to get Kansas City out of the playoffs altogether, because if they get in the playoffs, I mean, more likely than not, they'll figure out a way to get to the AFC Championship game and then to the Super Bowl.
So according to those odds. And what Vegas is saying is Kansas City's getting in the playoffs. Going back to our topic in the first session, right? When we're talking about are they getting in and who's getting in. So Vegas thinks that they're getting in for sure, right?
Yes.
At this point, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think Vegas is in that.
Hey, so let me ask you this, Aaron. When you look at those out, where do they have like the Chargers or the Broncos?
Now I'm looking at NFL championship winner. So this is Super Bowl winner. This is not to make the playoffs.
Okay.
Currently, Denver is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th overall to win the title. The Chargers look closer to the bottom between San Francisco and Jacksonville. Look, I think this whole thing about it's to your point, Darren, like people aren't, and I think Vegas, especially with setting these lines on how people bet one way or the other, I think it just sums up what the public thinking is that, we're not going to believe the Chiefs are done until they're absolutely done, till the grave is buried, till the tombstone is there, till there's 0.0 seconds on the clock, and we're going live after the game. I think most people believe that they've seen this team, this core, this nucleus, this Mahomes, Kelsey, Reed. They've seen it do them they've seen them do it so many times in so many different iterations. I mean, last year they were 15-2, and it did not look very good. We've been in press box games, Darren, sitting next to each other, where it's like, I don't know if they got it today. It's like their B game or their C game.
They got away at the end,
and then somehow they find a way to win the game.
Yep.
With Vegas, I think is kind of parroting that. We'll steal your word on that, Darren Smith. I think Vegas understands that people are going to wager on the Chiefs no matter what, good or bad. They are one of the franchise cornerstone teams in the league now. Everybody wants to watch them, whether they win or whether they lose. So the odds for KC don't necessarily tell me the full picture of the story. I think to me, they kind of tell me a version of the story. And that is that most people don't think the Chiefs are completely out of it until the fat lady is warming up. But I do think for those of us who are closely watching the team this year and have our eye on them a little bit more, I think we see the warts on this pig a little bit. KC is beatable this year, more so in the regular season than we've seen recently.
Beatable, yes, but one of the things that I would push back on is that one of the things that we see from Kansas City versus other teams that they don't have they have not really had like a huge turnover as it relates to to key players. I mean, even when they got rid of or traded Tyreek Hill, I mean, they made a lot of moves to replace them, and we saw in the draft, and those players contribute right away. But at the end of the day, you still have the core. Patrick Mahomes, Chris Jones, Travis Kelce, and Andy Reid. And it's like, as long as you still got those, saying that nucleus and everybody's healthy and everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, it's kind of hard to go against them right now.
Yeah. And mainly it's 15 because some of those other guys are getting a little older. And one thing you can't do in the NFL is, you can't beat Father Time. And you may be a great player, for a number of years, a lot of years, as we've seen, a lot of these guys have been, but it doesn't take long to fall off, whether it's desire, whether it's, preparedness, whether it's, physical, whatever it is, man, when it hits, man, it hits. And, guys start looking old real quick. And I'm hoping that's not what has happened to a couple guys so far this year. Hopefully they've got the rest of this year in them, but yeah, I mean, there's only, the NFL career is only so long, and these guys have been riding it high for way past the NFL average and playing a lot more games, meaning the postseason games and everything than a lot of these other teams.
I'm looking at the top 5 as far as these championship odds brought to you by DraftKings: Buffalo, Kansas City, the Los Angeles Rams, the Detroit Lions, and the Indianapolis Colts. Follow me, guys. We're in the sports book, and I have given you all $20. This is your last $20 that you'll ever have. You don't have nothing in the bank account. The bank account's emptied out. It's no $20 anywhere else. You got to make this $20 stretch to the end of the week somehow, some way. Which team are we putting that $20 on? I know this is a Chiefs podcast. I know which way Darren Smith might be leaning here.
Both AFC and NFC, or just
No. You
the
got
winner?
$20. You got $20,
winner.
JC. You're a
pick the
winner.
winner.
This team is hoisting up the Lombardi Trophy for your Vegas Insight. The top 5 teams, once again, Buffalo, Kansas City, the LA Rams, the Detroit Lions, the Indianapolis Colts. You can go outside of that top 5 if you want to. Green Bay, Philly, Seattle, Denver, Baltimore is the next 5. So your $20 can go wherever you want to put it. That's the top 10 odds. JC, you're new around Vegas. Let's get to you first before we get to Mr. Vegas expert.
Man, yeah. I mean,
Better not do to Vegas.
Yeah. Shoot, man, if I had $20 to put on one team, I'm still going with Kansas City. I mean, to beat the champs, to be the champ, you got to beat the champs. Now, obviously,
I was about to say.
No, listen. Philly was it last year, but Philly is not. Philly is not anywhere close to what they were last year. Kansas City's still in there wheeling and dealing. So I'm still going to put my money on Kansas City right now. We just said, when it all is said and done, they find a way. So I'm rolling with 15, man, and Andy.
Look, if there was one team outside of Kansas City that I felt like I could put my money on, it would probably be the Philadelphia Eagles, because Harry Roseman, gets that team together. But at the end of the day, I can't go against Patrick Mahomes right now. I mean, he's, at worst, the Chiefs have gone to the AFC Championship game and played in overtime. At worst, at best, they've gotten to the big game. I just can't, and when you get to the Super Bowl, it's the 50-50 shot. So, I mean, if I'm going to take my last $20 and you said the Chiefs are plus 600, I'll take them odds and get $120, when it's all said and done, or 140. So that's what I'm going with it.
This is the rare instance in which I think Vegas got it right. I think if I have $20 left and I got to make it stretch in the Super Bowl Sunday and I need the payout, I'm going with the team that just beat the Chiefs. I understand Buffalo hasn't had Super Bowl success, but as far as what they just put on tape against Kansas City, the fact they've been knocking on the door, they got the reigning NFL MVP. They got a run game that's consistent. They can spread the ball around. The defense is suspect. I'll give you that one. The defense is not what it's supposed to be. But we're talking about a team that's mirroring Kansas City and that's made that push, that's got the coaching quarterback like we talked about earlier in the first segment. I know Darren Smith doesn't agree with me here, but I think right now, as of this taping, it's still November 7th, and I reserve the right to change my mind. Please don't clip this up if we get into January and February. But if I'm putting in my $20 right now, I'm putting it on the Buffalo Bills.
No. Hold on. JC, let me take this real quick.
Yeah. Get him, D.
Aaron, you would have more credibility if you said you put that $20 on the Philadelphia Eagles, because they're the team that actually beat Kansas City in a Super Bowl. And
both those teams beat Kansas City this year.
Well, no, hold on. But Buffalo has not faced the Philadelphia Eagles, and Buffalo. Last time I checked, they're 0-4 in the Super Bowl. So again, I'm not gonna put my money on a team that's never won a Super Bowl versus at least the defending Super Bowl champion. So I mean, hey.
Well, what I'm gonna say about that is, all them things you just said, Aaron, about why you would put your $20 on Buffalo, they still only won by a touchdown in Buffalo.
Exactly.
At home. And we talked, extensively about what the Chiefs didn't do well in that game, and all the things that Buffalo did well, and James Cook and your boy Josh Allen. That's your boy now, and that's your boy now. Yeah. You just hitched your wagon to him. Yep. So that's your boy.
I'm definitely gonna make sure Patrick knows that too.
By 7, yeah. So
I'm diming you out. I'm snitching.
Yeah. I'm not putting my money on them. That's for sure.
Y'all supposed to be my boys. Y'all supposed to keep that a secret. This is supposed to be just us in here. This is supposed to be just fellas talking,
Yeah, that's your boy. Yeah.
You forget when your bread was butter. Patrick Mahomes took you to a Super Bowl. Allowed you to cover the Super Bowl. You need to remember that. Exactly.
You see them right there?
Exactly.
You see them 3 right? You see them 3? 1, 2, 3? That's why I'm riding with Patrick Mahomes until we out. So, you and your boy, Josh Allen, got to get one first.
I'm stingy with the cash. If you're telling me it's my last $20, I can't ignore what Kansas City's been putting on tape in the running game, man. I'm going with the best running offense in the league.
Okay. Stick to it.
I mean, that's fine. All I know is when I'm in California with the Chiefs and Patrick, I'm gonna make sure Patrick realizes that you doubted him.
Stick to it. Yeah, we hey D when we get to San Francisco or Santa Clara for Super Bowl week, I guess we only doing a 2-man show, bro, right?
Right. Yeah. Aaron ain't gonna be nowhere to be found.
Yeah, 2-man show.
I guess I'm on an island here, but we will try and find a way to earn my street cred back after I pick the Buffalo Bills here in the bye week. Having some fun. Chief Squad Show, Locked On Podcast Network. We got our final break coming up. When we get back, we'll just wrap up everything else. And this is kind of a quiet audience section. Chime in. Last little segments. Last little time to get those questions in. Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, and Darren Smith. One last break. We'll see you on the other side. NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your Chiefs. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why we use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You will always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included. So the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Gametime, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as just $100. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Final segment here on the bye week with the boys, Aaron Ladd, JC Pearson, and Darren Smith. Appreciate y'all tuning in wherever you're doing that. Said audience feedback. Well, let's get a little stock up, stock down, or finish up whatever y'all wanted to talk about. I got a couple other names here. Nick Bolton, stock up, stock down, currently leads the team in tackles. And this is an impressive one. This is a guy that's missed some time with injury. He started all 9 games for Steve Spagnuolo's unit this year. I think this is an easy one. Stock up on Nick Bolton being a leader of the Chiefs defense.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. I mean, he's done a good job in terms of just stepping up, making some tackles. I think getting everybody on the same page, obviously inside backer and the free safety are the two guys that make the calls. But I think Bolton has been a steady force in there. If everybody played with the effort that he's given so far, this team would be all right.
Yeah, it's like it's always up with me. The only time I get concerned about him is when I see him in pass coverage. But he's someone that that you can rely on to be out there on the field healthy and ready to make the big play. So his stock is up with me.
My next one is sticking with the defense. Trent McDuffie, who's due in line for a massive payday. Pro Football Focus has him ranked 5th among all corners. All 9 starts this season so far. 1 interception, 1 sack, 47 tackles, and 6 pass breakups. It just looks like they're targeting him a little bit more. I'm used to watching the Chiefs game and there being McDuffie Island where the quarterbacks don't even look his way. Now against some guys, they're starting to pick on him. He's given up a few more than I'm used to. I'm still sitting on stock up with McDuffie of him being one of the cornerstones of the defense, but it's not the island and the shutdown, seatbelt that we're used to from 22.
For most of it, though, and that's my guy. But the reason why you see some more balls going towards his way and his guys because he's normally covering the best receiver. If you're an offense and you have your number one guy out there, regardless of who's covering him, if he's your best guy, you got to go to him, or try to go to him. But I think Trent's done a good job, plays inside, plays outside, is physical. He's just, if he was more of a outspoken guy, talk loud, that kind of stuff, the media likes that kind of stuff, and he would get a lot more notoriety than he's getting. Now, obviously, people realize that he's a good, one of the best corners in the league and that kind of stuff. But if he was a little more boisterous and that kind of stuff, like I said, they like that kind of stuff, and they would be talking about him a lot more. But yeah, his stock is definitely up, and they do need to pay him.
Okay, light-skinned brothers stay united. Okay, I like that. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, you haven't looked in the mirror unless you got the same tape. Obviously, you have not looked in the mirror unless you have the same tape.
JC, hey. First of all, I play for the same team. I play for the same team. Okay. I just want to put that out there because two light-skinned cornerbacks. I'm just saying. No, but honestly, everything JC said is true. Look, I talk to Trent up there every game. He always gives myself and Steve one-on-ones, and so one of the things that he likes, and let's keep in mind, the last couple of years, especially 2 years ago, L'Jarius Sneed took the number one receiver, and he always took the second. And last year, it kind of rotated between him and Jalen Watson before Watson had got injured. And when he came back, he was kind of taking on the role. But this year, even coming into the season, Trent would tell me, he wants the number one seed. He wants that smoke. And so because a lot of times he did not get well, it's funny. He was getting the All-Pro recognition when a couple years ago it should have been L'Jarius Sneed, because L'Jarius Sneed was shutting down every number one wide receiver en route to that Super Bowl championship against the Niners. So look, I mean, he's someone, as JC said, because he is on the number one receiver, he's going to get picked on more, because as a quarterback, you should be trying to make plays with your top receiver. And, but he's made more plays than not on those number one receivers. And again, they don't throw to him often. So it's really hard for him to get interceptions because they're not throwing in his direction. One of the things he has been able to get are coverage sacks and stuff like that. So, I'm like JC, pay the man. They might try to use them for trade bait. I don't think they should, and I don't really think they will, because one thing that Brett covets is his draft picks, especially those that hit. And the thing is, why are you paying George Karlaftis and you're not paying Trent? That's but we'll see. We'll see.
But the thing with Trent and why they need to pay Trent is because he does multiple things. He can play outside. In the base defense, he can move down inside in nickel. And Sneed didn't do that. Sneed was just an outside corner. So, that's why they didn't pay him all that money, because he's just an outside guy. Trent moves around. Trent can play right side, can play left side, play in the slot, can blitz the quarterback, obviously, like we see in those situations. And he's strong against the run. So, you're not going to find much better than him. So you might as well pay him, because he can do pretty much everything that a corner needs to be able to do out there on the field.
One more stock up, stock down. Y'all stock has been up on everybody. That wasn't the point of the game. We're trying to get a little bit.
Give us some controversial names.
Yeah, I mean, give us some.
All right.
Name.
Well, here's a controversial name.
Had you said Harrison Butker, we might have been able to do a stock up or stock down or something.
The last Taylor, I mean, come on. If you want to get controversial, give us some maybes.
Yeah, give us some meat.
All right, okay. Let's do Juwan Taylor. Let's do Juwan Taylor. I'll save my name. I like Juwan Taylor as a name. To me, and I'll answer for this one, the stock has been down since the contract was signed, essentially. I mean, they were in a desperate spot where they really needed a tackle. He was the best available tackle for the price they wanted to pay. They essentially overpaid for him. He's had a lot of penalty problems. He's been healthy for the most part, but now we're entering into that sketchy part where he's not exactly out there all the time. I don't know if the guys trust him 100%. I think he's been a great locker room guy. I think they like him inside of that walls. But when it's time to go out there and play, I don't know what I'm going to get from you on a down in and down out basis. So I think the stock is down.
Darren, you want to go?
Well, first of all, that's my guy. I'm going to say his stock is
everybody's even. Your guy, Darren.
I say it's a push.
Level.
I say it's a push.
That's not an option. It's stock up or stock down.
In terms of Vegas, it's a push.
That would mean I'd have to. So I'm going to go with God.
There it is. Finally.
And I think, you know what? I think just because of the contract, the amount of the contract, that you can look at them and say that, are they getting that value? But if the contract was a lot lower, then you would say, oh, he's a good value. I mean, because obviously he's a serviceable starting tackle when he's not, I mean, the penalties have been cut down. He had one last week, with the being off the line of scrimmage. But the holdings and all that have been cut way down. I think for him, it's just probably a confidence thing and technique, because obviously he's got the physical ability, and just staying focused, staying confident that I can get back on these speed rushers, like Bosa. I don't have to, try to cheat and get, a half step back. And, that's when he gets those penalties. But, just the confidence that, hey, he can go out and get back and block these guys. But, just because of the contract, I think that's where the negativity comes in, because, like we said, to much is given, much is expected.
And my stock is still up on him because when push comes to shove, at the end of the day, I know I can count on him.
Is that true?
He has played well in the Super Bowls and in the playoffs leading up for the Chiefs.
And it's a tough position. It might be one of the toughest positions in the sport. So I want to shoot a lot of bail because I could certainly not do it.
Yeah. So I my stock is still up because here's the thing, I mean, especially when you saw the problem that they had on the offensive line, especially last year going throughout the year, while he had issues obviously with the lineup outsides and false start, I guess you could say. At the end of the day, he was still there healthy. I mean, the issue that the Chiefs had was more so on the left side of the line versus the right side. And so the cohesiveness that you still have with Dewan, Trey, and Cree, I still trust that at the end of the day, when the rubber meets the road. So I'm still going to say that my stock is that his stock is still up, because I know that at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, he's not going to make those mental mistakes in the playoffs and in the big game. So I'm still going to go up with him.
Let's finish with this thing. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, JC.
And get your opinion. Hollywood Brown.
That was going to be my next one. We in sync right here.
Yeah.
We in sync right now. Hollywood Brown, 53 targets, 34 catches, 389 yards, and 4 scores. I got stock down. Maybe I'll be the Debbie Downer and y'all can cheer up the podcast from here. My expectations were just higher. He feels like a younger version of whatever Juju offers this offense, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted him to be a Xavier Worthy kind of version where he's getting those kind of targets. He's got a little bit more speed. He's had injury problems as well. I think Tyquan Thornton should have a few of those targets. I think Noah Gray should have a few of those targets. Hollywood Brown, my expectations, I've had to recalibrate what I want from him in this offense. And for that reason, my stock is down on Hollywood.
Yeah, I think the expectations of, Hollywood Brown, they just signed Hollywood Brown. He's going to come in here. And then now they've got, Hollywood, Xavier, and Rashid, and they finally got them out on the field together. And, he just, even when Rashid was out and he had more targets, and he just wasn't that guy to me, and, I don't know. Maybe it was just the expectations, but he's a guy that can go down, and I don't want him to go down. I'm just saying hypothetically, and I don't think we'd miss him. I don't think we'd miss him. I think Juju and Tyquan can do all the things that he does, and maybe a little more production in terms of moving the chains with Juju. But, as of right now, I'd have to go stock down as of right now.
See, it's hard. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too close to the situation and the players, but it's hard for me because his position is obviously dependent upon what Patrick Mahomes and the play calls and stuff like that. And if he's healthy, I feel like his stock can be up, because it's just going to be a matter of what is the defense doing against our receivers. Because if they if you can somehow figure out a way to take out Xavier or take out Rashid, well then that leaves an opening for Hollywood Brown to step up along with some of the other players. So it's hard for me to say that my stock will be down on him unless it's injury related, because I mean, you look at, I think a couple of weeks ago, maybe against the Commanders or the Raiders, where I think Patrick Mahomes may have targeted him one time, and I think the ball was intercepted.
But if the quarterback is not looking for you, Darren, that should tell you everything about where your stock is.
But hold on. But look, there are a lot of times that players are open and Patrick misses them because he's running around or he's not going through his progression, or he's just trying to make a play happen. So again, maybe just me.
I'm saying, like when Rashid was out, those 4 games or 6 games, whatever it was, and Taekwon was the guy that kind of rose up and, oh, wow, Taekwon's getting, I would have expected that Hollywood would have really stepped in. And then, Xavier was out and missed a couple games. And, I would have thought that they would have featured Hollywood at that time because, if he was that guy that everyone thought he was going to be. But, it just hasn't worked out that way as of yet.
Final thoughts. We're coming to a close here on the bye week episode, Locked On Chiefs Squad Show. We will be back on Wednesday at our normal time, looking ahead to the Broncos week. But until then, JC, Darren, anything you want to wrap us up here? Stock up, stock down?
Well, since my stock seems to be up on everybody, I guess I have no choice but to continue rolling with the Chiefs all the way through Super Bowl 60.
Well, hey, I'm surprised. I'm glad, Darren, that your stock on everybody's up today. I mean, if we would have done it after the game, I think that everybody's stock would have been down because you're pretty mad after the game. So I'm glad to see that you're doing better today.
Well, I will say this. Now, see, the person that he didn't go, he didn't say any of the coaches. He didn't say, Spags, Andy, or Matt Nagy. So he gave us all players. Now
I had some coaches down there. I'm glad that y'all like this game. I'm gonna bring this game back. Game back during the midweek, and we'll get some updates on stock up, stock down. I had some. Matt Nagy's name was down here. Hollywood Brown. I had the Chiefs defensive line on here as well. I was just warming y'all up. I didn't know how y'all were gonna like to the game.
There you go. Well, yeah, man. It was good, but enjoyed it. Have some enjoy the evening, the rest of the evening.
All right. And, stock is up. Stock is up on the squad show.
Tell us all about it.
Stock is up on your evening. There you go.
Yeah, tell us all about it. Come next week.